Welcome Friday night, everyone. Broadcasting live from beautiful Lammasburg, Ontario at the Little Heart Social Studios. It is Arms, and I'm very happy to have you along for another edition of the Arms Bumanlag Project. And I got to tell you, I'm in a much better mood today. If you follow along on social media, I do quite a bit of live streaming for a number of organizations and businesses here in the Windsor-Essex County area. And my power went out earlier this afternoon. So I was like, coming out of my home office, I'm telling Carrie, I'm like, oh my God, we got to have the power back. I got to get my internet back to do the live show. But thankfully, knock on wood, the power is back. And I hope that you're having a pretty good start to your long holiday weekend. We got awesome guests on the show tonight. I'm really excited because not only are they talented individuals, they're awesome parents, and they are some of the most creative people I have ever had the pleasure to share a meal with and call friends. We'll welcome them in the next couple of minutes on the show. But as always, we want to recap what's been happening here on the project over the last couple of weeks. On Monday, we had Adam Lally on the show. He is the owner of Lally Ford in beautiful Tilbury, Ontario, and the Lally Auto Group, which reaches right across Windsor-Essex. We talked about the state of the car industry here locally during COVID-19. That episode is up on YouTube and Spotify. And then this Tuesday, right after the civic holiday, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Greg Gnipp from 89X and 93.9 The River, a radio icon, will reconnect with me live on the air to talk about his time really bringing 89X up through the decades and what his next plans are here in Windsor and Essex County. So Greg Gnipp live on the Arms Bumanlag Project. That's coming up Tuesday, because of civic holiday, the 3rd at 8 o'clock. So the folks that I'm going to bring on now, I don't know what to say. I mean, there's a little bit of hero worship from me to them. They certainly are such talented individuals in the sense that the gentleman is a phenomenal artist. The lady is just an amazing writer. And they have really done what a lot of us in the pop culture world have said has been prolific work. Everything from Marvel to DC to independent comics to a number of fantastic things that are happening right now with some great interaction on YouTube. So we'll get to that. They're also amazing parents. And they are people who I can honestly say have given me a piece of art. I don't know if you can see behind my wall. I posted it up on my Facebook page that I have said time and time again has been the best gift I received in my 39 years on this rock. So I'm very honored, I'm very happy, and very excited to welcome David and Meredith Finch back. Well, I guess for the first time, but we've talked over the years many times on the project. Hey guys, how are you?
Hi, Arms.
Hi, thanks so much for having us. And let me just start quickly by apologizing for our camera, which is squished, but it's making me look thinner. I don't know what happened.
Why are you complaining?
And we got a YouTube channel. I do this all the time.
You guys look good. No, honestly, you look good. And I'm honored to say that I was able to secure you guys to come on the show. And I know, Meredith, we were joking that like this is past everyone's bedtime, but I think everyone's like, why do you do the show at 8 o'clock? I'm like, Liam goes to bed at like 7 and I'm like down in my office and it's like, okay, we can kind of do things. But no, honestly, thank you so much for joining us to the both of you.
No, thanks for having us. And I totally remember the days where 8 o'clock was golden. I could sit down.
Oh, yeah.
The kids were asleep. It was, I get it. Now I'm the one who the kids are putting to bed at 8 o'clock. Your day's coming.
Yeah, well, it's getting there. Let me tell you, like, because I'm finding by like 10 o'clock, I'm like just absolutely wiped. But I'm just happy to reconnect with you guys. It's been a while. I know I've had the blessing to really meet you guys. I think the first time we had the face-to-face, I've always been a fan of both your work, right? You know me, huge DC fan, huge Marvel fan. So I want to get to some of the work that you guys have done for the big two. But we met at the Art Gallery of Windsor. I believe it was the comic book gala that they had way back when in 2015, when it was really focused on the kids and the young at heart. And I know Amber Hunter, who was running the art gallery at the time, invited me out. Oh, solid individual, right? And you guys know her too. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, oh, this is David and Meredith Finch. And I remember turning to Carrie, my wife, and being like, oh my God.
Wait, but at that time, I don't think Carrie was your wife.
No, she
That's
was.
right.
I almost roped her in. She was. I think we were just engaged, so she was kind of figuring out my nerd factor. But like, I'm like, that is. Oh my God, we have to like. And then I was like, in retrospect, I often say to Carrie, Dave, I'm like, I hope I didn't weird Dave out, because you probably get that a lot, right? Where people are like, oh my God, like an issue, whatever, da 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 da, and it's, and you're probably like, okay, but like, and you know what I mean? But it was just really cool to meet the two of you, because that just blossomed into a bit of a friendship over the years. So but it was like a long time ago, but it seems like yesterday, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Time flies.
It just makes me feel old.
We're getting old. It's inevitable.
Because you guys
So what
are
do you
married
guys-
for how long now?
I know, right? Like we've been, Carrie and I have been hitched now for like 6 years, 7 years, or
Yeah.
something like that. It's like,
Long
oh my
time.
God.
We were young then.
We were young. We were kind of thinking about things in a different light. But how have you guys been doing, despite the world sort of reassembling in March of 2020 with COVID? How have you guys been holding up?
Well, Meredith has dragged me out to the country. We moved from LaSalle, and so we're just outside of Amherstburg right now. We got a little bit of land. She's got 2 horses here. She's building an arena. This is where the horses run around. I know nothing about any of this stuff, but we have it all. And now I have 3 hours worth of grass to cut, which actually has been great. I got a riding lawnmower. That thing is so much fun. I don't know if you've ever tried one of those arms, but wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got like,
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, he didn't get like one of those riding lawnmowers that your grandpa had. He's got like one of the ones that the professionals have, because that's what he insisted on. It's like the 0 turn radius where he can like spin on a dime. He's out there. He just looks for grass to cut at this point.
Yep.
He's having so much fun. He'll
It's
come to
weird
your
how
house.
our
He'll
interests
drive
change.
the lawnmower over and cut your grass for you.
Oh yeah.
Well, we don't have that big of a lot, but our backyard's pretty. It's big, but yeah. It's funny how right, David. It's like now I actually like going out and mowing the lawn. Like it's weird. When you're younger, you're like your parents would be trying to like get you out of the house to mow the lawn. Now you're like, I'm going to do it on a Saturday. It's good to go.
Yeah, it's a break. It's a break from and I'm sitting down here in my office, which also I'm going to apologize for everything tonight. It's an unfinished office still because we just moved, and so I've got this. Anyway, it is what it is. But I'm down here.
He's okay.
All day and really all night after Meredith goes to bed working. So just the chance to get outside and do a little bit of work is nice always.
And it's good. It's good for the soul too, right? I mean, if you're, I don't want to say cooped up in the basement, or very much in my position that I'm working at now with the Humane Society. I'm lucky to work primarily from my home office, but you don't have to apologize. This brick wall behind me, it's actually just a plastic sheet. We're in an unfinished basement, so I had to put that up. Like everyone's like, it's like, wow. It's like, no, this is and I hung, I have your picture that you guys did for me for Liam, and I've got actually some stuff you did for me while I was at the CBC above me too. And it's like, I have to make it look somewhat professional. It's the beauty of, doing a live stream or a YouTube video, but it's nice to get outside though. How are the kids doing?
They're great. I can't believe it. We've got one graduated high school this year, so he's off to the University of Windsor in the fall. And then another one going into grade 8, and one more graduating probably next year. Our oldest is in the STEPS program, so he gets to go to school until he's 21. And I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that they'll have a proper graduation, because I truly can't imagine Hayden graduating without a proper graduation.
Yeah. It's a weird feel, right? Like,
yeah.
Is it a concern? Right. For not only for you, but for Hayden? Like, is it like, are they like, oh, I kind of want that for graduation? Or they're like, okay, whatever,
For Hayden, he very much he doesn't live in the moment. He lives in whatever's coming next. And so he's going to be counting down the days till his graduation.
Literally.
From the time school starts in September. And he is going to be planning like the walking across the stage. And if we have to, for a kid who has really needed a lot of structure, because some people who have autistic children or special children in their lives understand that structure and predictability is incredibly important for those kids. And for a kid who would see us, like I used to drive him to school 5 days a week, and then he'd come to our house on Saturday, and he went from that to not being able to see us at all when COVID first started. And I'm just so incredibly grateful for his staff at Community Living and how much they love him, because it could have been a really difficult time for him, and they made it amazing. They did, like last year for his birthday, they did a huge parade and a drive-by, and he had like a race car drove by his house for his birthday. The police came by his house. The police came by his house for his birthday. Yeah. So, and it's been nice, like now that we can finally have those face-to-face visits again. But yeah, he's really counting on graduating and his job making candy or red square balls when he graduates.
That's awesome.
So hopefully that'll work out.
Yeah. So if anybody needs somebody to make red square circle balls, call me. We've got the kid for you.
Done and done, right? It's like, when you talk about the work the community living did and having that uncertainty and I guess I'll say it's pain, right? As a parent, you can't see your child. And, I was talking to my mom about that too. A lot of folks who have followed us through the years, I know you guys know this too. My younger brother, Adam, is autistic, right?
Yeah.
And he is also with community living. And my parents just saw my brother for the first time, I think a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
And since this all broke in March 2020. So it's like
the FaceTime video, how do you explain to somebody who doesn't have the ability to understand things the same way that you or I might, that they can't see their parents. They can't have dinner with their parents. They can't go to McDonald's. They can't go in a store. I feel it's sort of they're the silent victims in a lot of ways of the COVID outbreak, because they really got shut in and locked in their houses. And aside from being able to go to parks, that's really all they could do. So I'm grateful for how much they're allowed to do now and how incredibly supportive, as I'm sure for your brother, community living staff are.
Yeah, they've really made a lot of pivots, right? I mean, as an organization too. And, I'm actually going to have them on the show in the next couple of weeks too, just to talk a little bit about some of the things that they're changing over the next little bit for them, the organization. But it was just hard, right? And it's different. Like the FaceTime stuff is different, even from the parents' perspective too. Like my parents were trying to get them on to, FaceTime or Facebook Messenger video chat, stuff like that. It's not the same, right?
No.
But I'm glad things are going well, and let's knock on wood that we get through this. But you guys, through the pandemic, still working, I mean, last time I talked to you guys, Dave, you had your studio and you guys were still able to, I mean, you very much did work from home, but you're still traveling to the different Comic-Cons and different things. But that's kind of, I'm assuming, kind of slammed on the brakes a bit in terms of the traveling.
It is now. I've got some conventions planned for later this year, but that's still up in the air. So I started now. In terms of work, I've been very fortunate. It was scary at first. I thought, okay, with stores being closed, I know a lot of comic book stores all over the place, all around the world. Really, they don't have months and months of budget that they can just rely on. So.
And then the distributor shut down for a few months.
Yep. There was a big shakeup with the distributors. And it was really, I was afraid that this could be something that, would just spell the end of comics. I mean, other mediums have passed. And so I started looking at, how to branch out. And so I started doing some YouTube just to, keep connected with people. That's been great. It's been really good.
We had an amazing first season.
Yeah, it's been good. And in terms of work, I've been working on the same book now for a couple of years before this whole thing hit, and I'm still working on it now. So nothing's changed there. I'm still doing a lot of covers, Walking Dead covers mostly right now. And so, work has been the same, but I haven't had the chance to, physically really connect with any fans of comics. And, it's been, since March. So that's been tough, but all the people online have been great. I think it's been good for everybody. Just to still be able to talk about comics and
oh my gosh, I think if he hadn't done the YouTube show, he would have lost his mind, because he needs conventions and that interaction with his fan base to motivate him and keep him going. And I think if you didn't have that, so much so that when we took a break from the Monday Night Draw with Meredith and Dave, and we're like, oh, we're going to take the summer off. Only Meredith took the summer off because Dave added a new show for the summer. The Dave Paints with our show's moderator, Eric Grove. Dave and Eric paint. And he has this whole painting stream.
And we've been bringing on some other artists. We had Tyler Kirkham. He's a phenomenal cover artist. He's done a bunch of books for Marvel and DC. Ariel Olivetti was 2 weeks ago. He is a longtime Marvel artist and cover artist. And so he let us do it. He's a phenomenal painter. He's great on the computer everywhere. And so we had him teaching us some acrylic paints. So it's been good. It's been really good for me. And by the way, before, I don't want to miss it, Carrie Bumanlag is in the chat. And
Hi,
she just said
Carrie.
hi.
Yeah, she was pretty geeked. She was like, "Oh my god, like I'm so happy you got them on, and I see the pictures of the barn. You got to ask them about that." And I'm like, "Yeah, we'll get into all that stuff." So it's good. And when people are going to continue to comment too, my buddy Paul says you can come cut my lawn anytime. Yeah, no thanks, Paul. your lawn's huge, buddy. We'll have a beer and then we'll try to attempt to cut it. But
If
no,
only we had a trailer for the lawnmower and we could transport it.
yeah, that would be the big thing, right? I saw the YouTube videos and I was like, I first of all, the production quality honestly was like blew me away. Like I got to tell you, it was like top notch. And then the fact that you guys had that interaction between the two of you, which was awesome. But then when Dave, you started to bring on the different artists and things and kind of riff off each other about things that are happening in pop culture, I thought it was awesome too, because you guys said it and David, you said it too. The one thing for us, I mean, especially during the pandemic, for everybody kind of sheltering in place, is we've had somewhat of a steady stream of, I guess, good pop culture content come out.
Mhm.
And I look to like Disney Plus as something I think that we've gotten our money's worth out of as a family for sure. And then you see like Warner Brothers trying to get things going with HBO Max, and then the whole Snyder Cut thing, which I wanted to talk to you guys about too. I think it's been good for pop culture fans generally in the last 18, 19 months, because we've had that stream, and now it's like the flood of pop cultureness through Marvel and very much DC is now starting to come back. They've got Shang-Chi is going to be in theaters, and then you look at Suicide Squad, I think is coming out just around the corner too, right, with James Gunn.
Yep.
So do you feel good about where it's going, the industry as a medium?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of positive things, coming. I love seeing all the TV shows. There's now the one that I'm looking forward to the most. I'm a huge Moon Knight fan. I drew Moon Knight. It's a long time ago now, 2007, a long time ago. So
no, 2005. Weren't you drawing it when I met you? 2005. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, a long time ago. So I'm looking forward to that one. And there's not much news about it, but yeah, those shows coming out. And kind of building on the whole Marvel mythos, I think is great. DC's got a lot of good stuff coming up, and it seems like good times. I'm looking forward to the next Mandalorian. I'm sure you've watched that. We watched it twice.
So good,
so good, right? Like same with us. So good.
Season. You got to watch the first season again.
Right.
Yeah, it's so good, and it's like, oh my god, like we can even talk about that too, because for me, and I don't know how you guys feel about the Disney sequel trilogy, the one like I was like in love with Force Awakens, even though some people said it was a carbon copy of Star Wars A New Hope, right? I didn't really care for Last Jedi, and I don't like how they crammed everything into Rise of Jedi, the Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like I'm like kind of like bad taste in my mouth with Star Wars again, and then Mandalorian comes along, honestly, and like I like hook, line, and sinker. First season, like I am hooked. And like loved it, thought it was a fantastic show. It had a feel like classic Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then they bring in season 2, and it's like, oh my god, like they had the Boba Fett episode where it was directed by I think Robert Rodriguez, and I was like,
oh, I didn't know that.
Oh my, yeah, you know which one I'm talking about, where he just like owns the stormtroopers. Yeah, it's Robert Rodriguez, right? And I was like, oh my god, like I could watch this like nonstop. And then at the end of the show, spoiler alert, the series, they're like kind of tease what's to come, and I'm like Disney, like take my money at this point, right? It's like so good.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I don't want to say any spoilers, but yeah, the end of season 2, I'm going to say I like season 1 better, but then by the end of season 2, and not just the very end. That whole episode, the episode before, all in all, season 2 it's so rare that a show will come along and that's that big and does it that well in season 1 and then manage to top it in the second season. I think they did.
And it's story building too, right? I think from, and Meredith, maybe from a writer's perspective, and certainly David from an artist's perspective too, it's like, what I love what they were doing is, and I used to say this honestly when I used to watch shows in like the 90s, and for very much, I think Star Trek: The Next Generation sort of did this with sort of that sometimes they would do overarching storylines that would last multiple episodes, or recurring villains that would pop in. But, you look at something like The Mandalorian, it's like they're taking a page out of Marvel's playbook, I think, because they introduce a character played by Bill Burr, Mayfeld, in season 1, who is the sharpshooter, who is the Boston with the Boston accent, which you're like, you kind of don't like him, but you do.
I love him right away, but I like Bill Burr. So
yeah, same, right? And then they redeem him in season 2, and they plant Ahsoka Tano, Rosario Dawson, and then they come out with this huge, okay, we have this show and that show. Do you think they're finally catching up to what writers knew about sort of character development and being able to tell it in that long-term format, as opposed to you've got 3 hours in a movie and that's it?
That'd be a better question for you when it comes to writing. I just watch and enjoy. So
I think what they're focusing on is the heart of the characters more, and less about trying to tick a box, and more about interacting the character with the audience and what makes the audience love a character. I think that's where The Mandalorian is really knocking it out of the park. That they're creating characters that you love, and the characters don't feel like a cardboard cutout of what a set of algorithms has determined should be the character, if that makes sense. Like they're flawed, they're imperfect, they're beautiful because of that. Like, I think sometimes in the desire to make these big blockbuster movies, they forget that we don't need a perfect character.
Yeah, it's like they're going from set piece to set piece to set piece.
Yeah,
and it feels that way sometimes.
It feels very structured and formulaic. And I think that's why The Mandalorian, I think that's part of what made Marvel movies so successful. It's because they didn't feel formulaic. Mm-hmm. And the characters, like Thor could be drunk and fat, and we loved him drunk and fat.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they didn't need him to be perfect.
Now, I have to say...
I think that's why... I'm sorry. This is also a member of the live stream, and she
it's the cat.
She joins whenever we're downstairs. Patches the cat.
Patches.
Yeah, Patches the cat. But yeah, I think that's part of why these shows are so successful.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you all the time. That's Greg L.
Yeah.
Hi, Greg.
Sorry, our live stream people, I shared it to the Finch flock.
Yeah.
So as we've got cat hair flying all over the place.
Okay. I love animals, right? That's good.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And I think, when you have the ability to tell a story and say, and I just hope, my only thing is with when they do these Disney Plus shows, honestly, that it doesn't turn into like a Lost on ABC, right? Where you're hooking us through the first 4 seasons, and then and granted, there was like the writer's strike and all that kind of stuff back in 2000. I was a huge Lost fan myself. Like, I loved the show. I actually met Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse at the Late Show back. I think this was 2010. He was on with David Letterman when I was in New York. We were waiting in line, and he came up, and I was like, oh my god, totally nerd out again. But I hope they don't they have like a formula, like you said, to this end. Like here's a start, here's the end, and here's the finish, and we can kind of paint in the end so characters feel fleshed out.
I feel like Kevin Feige at Marvel deserves so much credit for it. It really seems like those movies don't feel like they're written by a committee. They feel like they are, and they are. A lot of people do a lot of work in them, but I think that they're very steered right from the beginning. And you can see that in the culmination of the Avengers movies, where they obviously had that stuff planned right from the beginning. It's incredible. And I heard it. Now, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that Kevin Feige was at least consulted in The Mandalorian. So I don't know if that's true, though, but I heard that.
He's in the credits. Isn't he in the credits?
Is he? Oh, okay. So yeah,
wait,
what I know.
I'm pretty sure he's in the credits. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I wouldn't surprise me, right? Because I think they were kind of poking around to get him to do a Star Wars film because the film side of things is kind of in limbo right now. But just go to a couple of comments here. Mima says, "Hi Dave, just wanted to let you know my husband is a huge, big Batman fan. He was able to get a hold of a drum set that has a skin of Batman signed by you."
That's awesome.
And
That's
he
great to
absolutely
hear.
loves it too. Does that weird you out though? Like, it not weird you out, but is it like, whoa, like I remember signing that and now it's in somebody's home, kind of thing? Like, do you ever say like, oh yeah, that was from like way back when or something?
Yeah, especially something like a drum set. It's easy to remember doing that.
I think the thing that he did that caught me the most off guard though was and it's not the first time it's happened, but the first time it happened for me was when somebody came up and they had a tattoo piece of his artwork, and then they said, I just need you to sign it. And then they were going from his signature to the tattoo artist. And I was like,
There was
and I think we were
one at the convention, just a couple blues down.
we were pretty new in our relationship, and I was like, you're like kind of a big deal that somebody wants to get your signature tattooed on their body.
And you're just like, happy to do it, no problem. There we go.
Yeah, he's like totally fine. Sign the shirt, whatever, shirt, skin, drums. He's fine.
I'll say this though, drawing, like any solitary job, I love it. You know, I would do it for myself. It wouldn't have to be in front of anybody, but it makes such a difference for me when being able to go to conventions or comments like that. And thank you so much for that. Seeing that it has an impact and people are aware of it, and it means something to people. It means a lot to me.
I think as artists, you don't realize you do your work in such an isolated environment, right? Like you work in your basement or you work in your kitchen, and then you just send your stuff on computers, and it's that interaction with your fan base at conventions or what we've been able to achieve through YouTube, where you realize like, hey, people are actually reading this, and you're getting an emotional response from them. Like a lot of times what your storyline or your arc, your character's going through, a lot of people are going through as well, and they respond to that and they react to that and they love that. And I think that's what it's like. Comics don't get recognized for that in the same way that literature does, but it has the same impact for a different group of people. Do you know what I mean? Like people who read books. People who read comics often read comics. Like I can't get my kid to read a book, but because he keeps saying to me, Mom, I read comics. I don't read books.
Yeah, the kid will not read a book.
read graphic novels.
We're raising him right.
Yeah. I'm like, can't you read something other than the Diary of the Wimpy Kid 500 times? No, Mom. I read graphic novels. I don't read novels.
I one of my prize graphic novels I have is actually your run on New Avengers from 2005, 2006. New Avengers with Luke Cage is in there, Wolverine, Spiderman. And it's an omnibus actually. And I actually pulled it out the other day because Liam's at that age now where he's starting to say like, what's Dad about? Like, what is he like? And we actually got him, Grandma and Grandpa got him a set of Avenger toys. Like we're talking the whole roster. And he brings them in the bathtub with him. And I was giving him a bath tonight. Right? Exactly. No, oh my God, you should see his toys, Meredith. It's like, Carrie gets mad when I go to Toys R Us like probably twice a week now.
Oh,
and
no.
And they come in and they're like, hey, Arms. And I'm like, hey, guys.
I totally get it because he's the same. Yeah. So I totally get it. Tell Carrie to call me. We'll talk.
Oh, she will. She will literally be on the phone after this and be like, here's the thing. Actually, the other thing I was going to bug you too, because I know Nerded Out is like, I just got this and I'm so happy. This is my my Skeletor and Panther. Oh,
Yeah, this was from Saturday. Actually, I painted this one with Eric. We paint every Saturday, and so yeah, I'm a big Skeletor fan. Clearly, we're on the same page there.
Awesome. You could not have picked up like. That was not, just so everybody knows who's watching, that was not by design. No. Arms just randomly picked up a toy off his desk, and David happened to have painted that one.
Yeah, it was the last
100%.
one.
And then my sister-in-law actually got me this because, I don't know, I was going to ask you, did you see the new show on Netflix?
Not yet. Not yet. So
I will say this is from the show. I'm not going to say anything, but that's from the show.
So you know what? As much I haven't seen the show, so I don't know too much about that, but I do know who that is, so it's already been a little spoiled, but yeah, that's all right,
Yeah, she got it for me, and she was like, "Oh, I know that you're a huge Skeletor fan," and I'm like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" But it's just it's see, great minds think alike, as simple as that. But Carrie's like, "Oh my God, like, why are you starting to collect these now?" And I'm like, "Well, it's just Skeletor for now. We'll see.
For now,
we'll see what else we can find." But no, I think it's so crucial to see folks like yourself continue to do what you guys do, and with the Comic-Cons hopefully coming back and the world getting back to normal, it would be nice to kind of continue on and do those things. I know Windsor Comic-Con said that they were not doing it this year, if I'm not mistaken. Caesars, they're not going to be ready in time for September, so they're hoping to come back next year too. But it'd just be nice. I think a lot of people miss that kind of stuff too, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even from a local angle for you guys.
Yeah, well, locally, it's tough for me to say, but I do know that everybody that I talk to, professionals are all ready to get back, and fans are. I'm hearing that fan interest in conventions is huge. I guess New York sold out within an hour tickets, so I think people are ready.
I mean, to be fair, I think they sold less tickets because they're not
right.
sure.
They have to have wider aisles and less people, so fair enough. But everything that I'm hearing is it's going to be pretty big when it comes back, and hopefully we can maintain that. But it's a good start.
I hope so too. I think it'll be nice to kind of reintroduce people to the culture, so to speak, and start to have those great conversations at the cons. And I mean, like we were just saying, there's been so much that's been happening too. And I remember a couple months ago when they finally released the Snyder Cut, I it was like a huge event at our house, right? And I remember sitting down with Carrie, and we put Liam to bed, and I'm like, hey, like buckle in, because this is a long ride. I think it was like 4.5 hours.
It didn't seem that long.
No,
I don't know. I haven't watched it.
You haven't watched it?
I have not watched it.
Yeah,
did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it. Everett watched it.
Everett watched it. Our son watched it.
Yeah.
He and his buddy sat down. They watched it. They talked about it. I'm like, I don't have 4.5 hours in my life that I can stay awake.
They could have shaved an hour off, just with a little less slow motion. But it was beautiful. The slow motion was beautiful, and it was amazing. What a different movie that it was. Well, I think they refilmed. Was it half the movie? Almost a lot, anyway. So
we're gonna have to break it down into like a week-long event for me.
Yeah.
Like Monday, we watch the first 45, and then we watch the next 45.
Yeah.
Flesh it out, right? I just love the fact that they spent the time to do it based on fan feedback, finally, right? And sort of, I guess, feedback and pressure. And, to kind of loop that back to you guys with your fan bases and what you do, that shows, I think, fans are pretty passionate about what they love, right? I would think that, with Meredith, with some of the writing work that you've done with Rose and all the different things that you've sort of cultivated over the years since your work with DC, you have that passionate fan base. You're able to, they can kind of advocate on what they want to see and hear and read. And certainly for David too, that they can kind of advocate saying, this is the kind of things that we'd like to see, or throw out suggestions too. And hopefully that, translates into projects.
I think the most difficult time I had with a fan base and passionate fans was working on Wonder Woman, because you want to do justice to the character, but it doesn't matter what you do. If you want to be true to her, to your own version of what you're doing, you're not going to make everybody happy. And the fans who love Wonder Woman are so passionate about that character.
And they're not wrong.
But you still have to, I started writing that character and I started trying to pay attention to it. And then I just had to stop. I had to just pay attention to what I was doing with the character. And I think that made a difference for me.
Right.
But the fan feedback and the fan passion can be a bit of a double-edged sword, because people who love our Wonder Woman run love our Wonder Woman run, but people who don't.
I think you kind of want that. If it's a little polarizing, then hopefully you said something. I will say, I think I've gotten a lot of criticism over the years. I know we did Avengers when that book came out. We had Spiderman and Wolverine in it, and at the time we killed Ant-Man. So people were not happy about that. I think we also killed Hawkeye, who came back. But
we killed Vision too, didn't we?
Oh yeah, we killed Vision too. And so some fans were very, very upset about that. And it's easy to say, you know what, this is our thing. You don't own this. We do whatever we want. And I have never felt that way. I think that the fans own these books. You have to have the confidence of your convictions. At the same time, I respect that the fans do. Ultimately, the characters would be nothing without people that are the most passionate about it. So, that kind of criticism I take on the chin, because I feel like
that's because you're a seasoned pro. Well, when I was writing Wonder Woman, I was just a young beginning writer.
And I
taking everything so seriously.
I think it's way too easy to just, if somebody says they don't like what you did because of this, just to say, oh, well, you're a, what do you know?
No, yeah.
And I tried to never have that approach because ultimately any character that I ever have the privilege of working on, it's only ever temporary, and the fans own that character forever. And I think all that fans really want, and this is tough. I've done enough books that have really shaken things up, but I know for me, I'm a huge Excalibur fan. I don't know if anybody watching would know what that is. It's a lesser known Marvel book, but I love it. And the characters in that book were so well done. I'm going to go into Excalibur. I won't do it, but there were a couple of times when a different writer and a different artist would come on, and they would be like different people, and I'd be so upset about that. So I relate.
He's such a nice guy.
It's very well put together.
Yeah.
It's a good positive response to it, though, right? Yeah. Is that you can kind of give that feedback too. But no, I was just gonna say, like, get into Excalibur, dude, because if it's the same, and correct me, I've not.
I'll be back. I got dishes I gotta do.
I think you're serious. What?
See you later. I'm good, right?
All right, they're talking comics. I'll be back.
They're talking comics. I'm done. But it's the one with Captain Britain, right? And there was the dragon. Yeah, okay. See, I know. And Psylocke was on it at some point, right?
Yep. She was there for a bit. Right? Kitty Pryde, Megan. Remember Megan?
What's crazy is
Captain Britain's girlfriend.
I actually did read that run because you're like, here, read this comic.
It was a great comic.
Yeah, it was.
That is a dedicated wife. That is. You're like, here you go, honey. Read this. Yeah, no problem. I got it. I got it for you. Okay, so here's my question to the both of you too, in terms of the pop culture realm. You've had a chance to work on so many great properties over the years. What are the properties that you would still like to work on? And without letting the cat out of the bag, what would you want to do to said properties if you had the opportunity to play in the sandbox? We'll start with Meredith.
I still really just have this thing about magic at Marvel. So I don't know. I just would want to work on that character. But I want to take her back. Like, I don't necessarily love the current version of magic. I love the magic that I'm in love with is the statue that you have this huge foot tall statue that's
a silhouette of it behind your head.
Yeah, you can kind of right here. That's the one I'm in love with. That's the character I want to write. Like, I love fantasy fiction, and I don't want to write her like an X-Men character. I want to write her like a fantasy, like, let's go to hell. Let's do the whole fantasy. That's what I want. Mm-hmm. That's what I want for her.
Nice. So. Nice.
I'm not a superhero writer. I'm not like
fantasy.
Let's do it.
Well, okay, hang on. Okay, so I don't know if you're familiar with this, and forgive me, Dave, you might, but I know, Meredith, I don't know if you would be. 2009, from the video game realm, they reintroduced Dante from Dante's Inferno into a video game series, and it was probably one of the best. It was kind of like Devil May Cry type of game, but it was a really great. They had a comic book with it because I remember I pre-ordered it, and for whatever reason the studio went under, but it was really about Dante's descent into hell and the Seven Rings, but they did it in a way that was like this overall Lord of the Rings type of overarching saga, and I was just really disappointed that they only got the first game in before the studio closed. But I mean, I know you've done a lot of work with that, with the Book of Ruth and different things like that. I think that there's great things that you could do in that sort of realm to kind of illuminate, something that is maybe a little bit heavier read like Dante's Inferno, and put it into a more conventional, I guess, storytelling piece, whether it is a video game or in this case would be maybe a comic, right? Yeah, no, it's funny because Dave and I talk a lot about doing a book together, and he always would be like, "Oh, I want to do this," and then I always bring. He's like, I want this guy to be this character. And I always end up like skewing it into he goes sort of like Arnold Schwarzenegger, commando kind of guy. And I end up skewing like, oh yeah. And then we could take him, he could be like a demon fighter, or he could be an angel, or like, I always skew that toward, my passion at the moment. And then we never end up coming to an agreement, so nothing ever happens.
One of these days we'll do something.
We'll work it out. We're working on it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Awesome. David, what about you in terms of, properties that you'd like to work with and, kind of directions you'd like to take the characters?
Lobo's a big one for me over at DC. I'm a huge Simon Bisley fan, and I've talked to Keith Giffen about it. He's the writer. Him and Alan Grant both wrote all of my favorite Lobo stuff, and he seemed receptive. I'm
like, who wouldn't want to work with Dave?
I don't know if I'm the right artist for it, though. I don't have like a.
Oh, he's not the right artist for Lobo. No.
Okay, hear me out, Arms, and thank you.
What kind of world are we living in where David Finch
all right.
is not the right artist for Lobo?
Lobo is ultra violent,
Sure.
But it's also funny. It's tongue in cheek, and I don't do that well. So as much as I want to do it, I wonder if I don't know if I would really actually be able to do it justice. I'd like to try, though. That would be a big one for me.
It's almost like, okay, so for the Lobo aspect, right? Like, and I agree with Meredith. Like, they should just get you to do it, period, because it would be awesome. But Lobo is very much like DC's version of Deadpool, right? In terms of like that sort of tongue in cheekness. So it's almost like I look at it's like that Batman graphic novel I have. It's, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's Arkham Asylum: A Serious House on Serious Earth, where they sort of dive into Batman, but the painting, the artist that they had to do it at the time it's very non-conventional in terms
this
of.
This is Dave McKean with I think it was Grant Morrison that wrote that.
Yeah, Grant Morrison. Yes. And it's very jagged edges, but I remember looking at it, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like it. It's one of my favorite books, but it was just a different take on a lot of the characters in Arkham Asylum. So I think you could do it, and I think you could probably rock it too. So that's
here's the thing that you need to remember: you don't need to be smart and witty. That's the job of the writer. All you need to do is draw fun, cool stuff.
There you go.
Just draw Lobo looking awesome on every page.
That's it.
And then it's the writer's job to make him funny.
And I'll have
with the dialogue
scowling all the time while they make jokes.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
Lobo's just scowling with a cigar in his mouth. Right?
You're just making the writer better. You're just making the writer better.
Have you guys dove into any of the Marvel stuff on Disney Plus and kind of follow that along about how that's going over the last little bit? Have you had time to?
We did WandaVision.
Yeah, we watched WandaVision. We had
awesome.
Andy Park. He's the I screwed up his title before, but he's the director of visual development for Marvel Studios. So he worked on WandaVision. He actually designed. Black Widow's costume, of most of the costumes. I know he designed a bunch of Black Widow costumes, actually. Ant-Man, a lot of them. So yeah, right just before we watched the last episode of that, we had him on our YouTube channel. That was great. So it's really nice to be able to, watch the show and get a little insight into how it was kind of done. So yeah, we've seen that one. We have not seen the Winter Soldier yet, so that's kind of
nor Loki.
And I will tell you what happened.
We haven't done that one yet either.
We started watching
Star Trek,
The Next Generation, and there are 7 seasons of that. We finished
24 episodes a season.
So now we're almost finished with Voyager, and so when that's finished,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
I've made Dave into a Trekkie.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were the Trekkie ahead of time, right, Meredith? And then you've converted
I grew up watching with my grandmother. My grandmother was a huge Trekkie, and so she made me a Trekkie. Yeah. She introduced me to fantasy fiction. Don't underestimate the power of the grandmother.
Grandmas know what they're doing, man. I'm telling you. And Next Generation is it, man. Like I actually, a buddy of mine, and I was over his house, Paul, who was on our live stream, and he's like the biggest Trekkie outside of me I know. And I'm like, I'm a Star Wars fan, huge, but Star Trek, I like. But although I will say, after Voyager, I kind of fell off the wagon a bit. There's a lot of stuff I was like, eh. But in terms of the continuity for TNG, Next Generation, it's there's so many classic episodes. I'm going to really go deep here. One of my favorite episodes is the one where Picard is stuck on the planet with the captain who speaks in the Darmok and Jalad, right? It goes to Tanagra, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I still remember that episode too. I remember that was mind blowing to me. It was and Patrick Stewart's such an amazing actor.
Yeah.
You've got John Delancey as Q. You've got Brent Spiner as Data. And Lore when they did his doppelganger sort of brother. But it's to me for Star Trek, that was the perfect balance of action and then continuing with those narrative arcs. Like the best of both worlds to me, as a kid watching Star Trek in 1993, when they had, spoiler alert if you haven't seen this, anybody watching or listening to after the fact, when Picard became Locutus and they cut it and it's to be continued, there was like no internet at that time, blew
Yeah.
your mind because you're like, what are they going to do? Like, honestly, like Riker's in charge of the ship. They've got Commander Shelby here, who you don't like. What are they going to do? Picard's a Borg. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm just nerding out right now, but
Yeah,
it's
that
just
was
such a good show.
a great one.
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna try Deep Space Nine afterward. I did not, and was not for me when it first came out, but
But you only ever watched a little bit, and I have
So,
never
who
seen it.
knows?
So, but I think we're going to take a detour back into Marvel because we've got a couple of shows. I never like watching one show at a time. It's nice to have,
and
Love it.
right now we're watching the best show on TV.
Which is
Jeremy Clarkson has
Farming.
a farm. Now, Jeremy, I don't know if you're familiar. He did, I think, Top Gear. It's a British car show.
Yeah.
Anyway, he bought a farm, and so he's farming, and it's hilarious. It's a good
the
show.
Best show
So she's got
ever.
me watching that right now. So yeah, we kind of bounce back
It's
and
like,
forth. But
it's a show that mirrors our life. I'm like, see how he's having trouble hooking up implements to the tractor, Dave?
right,
Do you remember that? When we've done that like 5
Just did
times
that.
now, we've had the same trouble hooking the same implement up
Yeah.
to the tractor.
so
Yeah.
good.
So good.
And you're enjoying it though, right? I mean, you're getting to see the farm life, but you're living it too with what you guys are doing.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, you were like, Meredith's doing the farm thing every night. I'm like, Dave, are you ready to go feed the horses? He's like, yep. Puts down his video game and off we go. And he like scratches he loves the horses.
they're great. Yeah,
He
I don't
loves
ride
them.
them. Not crazy.
I know.
I'll leave that to Meredith. But yeah, no, they're great.
He loves the horses and he feeds the chickens and gives them their water. And we go for a little tour on the gator and we check out the building and how it's coming along. And he loves cutting the grass. Like he was built. Who knew this city boy could be a farmer?
You've mutated, you've evolved into
Yeah.
this.
Just wait
You will
until he
fall.
goes out and collects his first egg.
When is this? Is this soon? I'm assuming for the
September.
eggs or no?
September.
September?
The chickens, in case you didn't know, chickens need to be 4 months old before they can lay their first egg. And
Not do that.
Yeah,
they need a certain amount of daylight hours in
Nobody
order
knows that.
to lay.
So there you go. Yeah, I'll be collecting eggs.
It's like after I put down my game and
Yeah.
I'm done watching my shows. Well, God bless you. That's awesome.
I'm going to make him an omelet,
that's
egg
great.
salad sandwich with your eggs. We only have 5 chickens. I mean, how many eggs are we going to get? But
But still, it's the fact that they're on your farm. They're
That's right.
That's right.
in your
there are eggs.
dome of
That's right.
Yeah.
of agriculture, right?
That's right.
Yep.
So everything else is good. You guys are looking forward to hopefully the world opening up again. And
Mhm.
I mean, I want to talk a little bit more about your YouTube before we wrap it up here on the show, because like I was just blown away with some of the stuff that you guys have done, and I'm just going to show some of our folks here at home some of the cool work that I picked up from it as well. I mean, this is pretty cool what you're doing here, right? Like this is a picture of a Batman, which is one of my favorites, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, me
and I
too.
got this from your Facebook page, and I know this. I don't know if you did this on this, but I thought this was awesome. Spider-Man, Superman. Shame on me.
Yeah, that was a live stream.
Yep. He draws these live. He paints these live in front of people.
That's amazing.
For the most part, that was just a practice. And obviously, I'm a He-Man fan, so some of the paintings are not done live, and some of them are. And yeah, it's at first, and I've drawn in front of people for years, so it's something I've been pretty familiar with. But doing it on a live stream is still it can be a little intimidating. So it took me a bit to really get comfortable, but the audience is very supportive. They're great. I'll get
We
comments.
broke them in for like a whole year with art, just drawing. So by the time he started painting, they're like, "Oh, Dave!"
And I'll get
You can
comments
do
every
no
once in a
wrong.
while where somebody will say, "You know what? I think the head might be just a little bit too big, or this is wrong." And I don't see it when I'm drawing, especially when I'm rushing and talking at the same time. And so I fix it, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Our Finch flock is the best.
They're dedicated, right? And that's
They
the
are.
best thing. They're
They're there
dedicated.
every
and
week.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you're doing these like once a week, or a couple times a week. How often are you doing them?
Once a week. So I've got tutorial videos that I try to get out every 2 weeks. Over the summer, I've been a little bit off on that, but
because we all get a summer vacation.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff going on, and so right now I've just got art streams. We're doing some artist studies, some painting, that kind of thing, and then over the course of the year, and it's once a week. For
every Monday night,
the live stream with Meredith. Yeah, it's Monday Night Draw, 8:00 Eastern. On my YouTube channel. I would tell you Arms the name of the channel, but I can never remember.
Finch.
If you type my name into Google, it's right.
I'm pretty sure it's just David Finch.
You've got when I was on there earlier today, just scoping everything out, I loved the interaction that you guys had, and like all the different types of people who are just commenting in the feed too. I mean, I think that was pretty incredible as well. So what's next? Like, are you like work horizon before we wrap it up? What do you guys have planned? Any exciting things on the horizon for you guys? Getting back into the Comic-Cons and all that kind of stuff.
Well, for my part, yeah, conventions are a big one. Really looking forward to. The next really big thing for me is just finishing the book that I've been working on for the last few years and getting that finally out there. It's been quite a while. I've had a lot of covers out over the last while, but it's been a while since I've had interiors, and this is a massive project. So hopefully massive in terms of people will like it, but I mean massive in terms of the amount of work that's gone into it.
He's drawn everything double size.
Right, I've been drawing a double size, which takes longer.
So if it's 1 page, it's 2 pages, and if it's 2 pages, it's 4.
Yeah, so it's but it's been a lot of fun, and I am really looking forward to getting it out there. And
I you won't say it because I will. It's his magnum opus. Like the work he's done on this book. It's incredible. Like it is. If you thought you loved David Finch artwork before and his attention to detail, wait till this thing comes out because it's incredible. Like I've just never seen anything like it. Like I don't know what to say other than when it comes out, everybody needs to own it.
You're a good salesperson.
Well, you're gonna have to give me a heads up when it comes out because I gotta get a copy of it too because
for sure.
The work is badass. So
I'll bring one over. And so, Meredith,
what
do you have coming up?
And in terms of, I'm working on another biblical story adaptation because I just kind of found myself in that niche of like I've really been exploring my faith and delving into my faith. And, I had some things I wanted to say through the book of Ruth, and I felt like there were still things that I wanted to say as I explored sort of my own relationship with God and my faith. And so I'm doing another adaptation with the same artist, with Colin Dyer.
Who is incredible.
So good.
Yeah.
He's so good. He just gets it. And I think I've been very blessed that every artist I've worked with has just been able to, I've had the right artist for the right project. And so when I worked on Rose with Aguara, he loved fantasy. He just got what I was putting on the paper and translated it and made it even better. And I feel like I'm pushing Colin in a different direction this time. We're not going sort of that noir look like we did with Ruth. But he's so versatile and he just gets it. And so, yeah, I'm excited about that. We'll probably kickstart this one too sometime, maybe later this year, maybe early next year. Who knows? I got a lot going on. I have no agenda. I'm like, get it done when it gets done.
Greg Lewis, he just said Dave was going to meet. I'm so used to doing my YouTube channel. I'm like taking over and reading the comments. I'm sorry.
It's good. It's good, dude. Go nuts.
I was going to meet Jason Fabok next week at a con, but it looks like he's no longer in the lineup. That's too bad. I'm sorry. I
think Greg L is in the States. I'm not sure, but we just can't get into the States right now.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's what would have caused it. I think my first convention is in October, and that's still, it's a roll of the dice. I just don't know. So sorry.
We're sending guinea pigs across the border to see how it works.
Tell me about it, eh? Like, I don't know. Hopefully they get all that's ironed out. I mean, we have Carrie's sister is over in the States right now, right? And she married a gentleman in Dearborn, and it happened about probably about 8 months before the COVID hit. So we haven't really seen her, right? And she was like pretty much Liam's other baby mom, another babysitter.
Yeah.
So we just, and Carrie's over. That's her, like, she goes over to Dearborn to see her. They go to Target, do the whole thing, and they go over there, and it's like it's enough. Like we just kind of have to. Something's got to happen here, right? Greg says, "Yeah, I figured because he can't come to the States."
Yeah, I think so.
You know.
Yeah, it's tough.
Well, I just want to thank you guys again, and before we wrap it up here, I really mean it. You guys have given me, and I said on my Facebook page, you guys have given me. Can't really see it, but honestly, it's the best gift I've ever received, and
It's your Liam the Lion.
Liam the Lion, and he's a happy kid. He comes down to my office and bugs me all the time, and I say to him, I go, "Well, who's that? Who's that, Dad?" I said, "Daddy's buddy Meredith and Dave got that for him, and that's you." And he says, "That's awesome." And now he's kind of getting into realizing Batman and the Avengers and stuff. So I just wanted to say thank you for giving us that piece. Like, that's something I'll always remember is opening that up on our first Father's Day home from SickKids. So God bless you both. You guys are good people. So.
Well, thank you so much for having us. It's great to talk to you. It's been too long. It's been a little while, and I know we're all busy. That's how it goes.
We're all hiding in the basement right now. So.
Pretty much, right? No, I that's why being able to at my position now at the Humane Society, it's they're just such great people there, and I mean, you guys know you're animal lovers too. People are they have really great intentions, and I just said, hey, if I'm coming on board, I'm going to be doing a show. They said, go nuts. So it's worked out really well. I'm trying to keep Carrie sane, because originally when we started doing the show, I said I'm going to do one a week, and now I'm up to 2. So it's like, she's like, okay, like we're reining in a bit, and I'm like, okay.
September, like reel it back. Once a week is good.
Yep, and
you don't want to burn yourself out.
Don't burn yourself out.
It's not just the show itself; it's the planning and arranging the guests, and it's a thing. So it's a lot of work. Yeah.
It's always interesting to put it in, but you love, like, what you guys do. You love doing it, and for me, it's like, I'll say it's therapy for me too, right? It gives me, once you're on and you get to reconnect with people, get to show your passion for each other, and kind of elevate folks. It's a good deal. Greg says, always good to see you guys. Been a while since I've heard Meredith.
What he means is it's been a while since I heard Meredith cough. Because like the cat, my cough is also a character on the show.
Oh yeah, every time. She doesn't cough all day. She'll get on there, and there you go.
I don't talk all day. I communicate,
Yeah.
Communicate through the cough, right?
That's right.
Mima saying, awesome hour. I've got another one here. Great show. And then Mima following up here saying, I hope my husband gets to meet you guys someday. So
I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
One day soon. So don't be strangers. I'll circle back with you guys, and maybe I'll get you back on the program. I'll continue to watch and I know communicate with you guys as well over the next little bit. And I just want you to say, stay safe, keep being awesome people, and give my best to the family. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us. And you tell Carrie to bring Liam by anytime he wants to see chickens and horses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my!
Anytime. It'd be great to have you.
We would very much love that. And let me tell you, you may get another boy, because he will not leave. He will just be like, Dad, I'm staying here. It's much better here. I'll be like, all right.
We'll take him for a tractor ride and a gator ride. Oh, he'll have so much fun.
He would he totally be into the tractor stuff. And see, there you go. Carrie saying, so nice to see you guys as well. So and there you go. Liam would love it.
There you go.
Done and done.
Anytime, anyways, Carrie. You know where we live.
God bless you guys. No, seriously, keep being you, and I appreciate the time tonight. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us, Arms.
Thanks, Arms.
Anytime. That is David and Meredith Finch. Great people, amazing, talented artists, writers, and really just folks that you just want to continue to follow. They've got so much content. Dave's show on YouTube is absolutely incredible. You got to find it for yourself. His website's chock full of information too, and some really cool artwork on there too. Check it out for yourself today. And like them on Facebook and follow on YouTube as well. So I want to appreciate them. Again, they're parents of 3, so I know how hard it is for them to carve out an hour of time to talk to yours truly here on the air. So I really appreciate it. Great folks, great people, great friends. That's going to do it for this edition of the show. Don't forget, on Tuesday, we're back with Greg Gnip from 89X and 93.9 The River. He's got a really cool announcement to make about what he's going to be doing here locally in the Windsor-Essex area after his exit from broadcast. So that might be a little bit of trouble, because Gnip was the first guy to give me my start in the world of broadcast radio back in 2002. Wild Woodies in Roseville, Michigan. And I'll leave it at that. It is a story you're not going to want to miss. So we're going to chat about that on Monday, Tuesday night. Keep saying Monday, but it is Tuesday. Have a great rest of the afternoon into the evening. Stay safe, and we will see you back here on Tuesday. Thanks for watching.